Thank you very much. I thank my friend from Texas for yielding me this time. Mr. Speaker, HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, have been the topic of a great deal of discussions recently, and I rise as part of the observance of Black History Month to recognize and celebrate one of them, Allen University in Columbia, South Carolina. Similar to the many historical black colleges and universities across the nation, Allen University's contributions to my home state of South Carolina and the nation are immeasurable. Founded to offer education and opportunity to formerly enslaved African Americans, HBCUs have been central institutions in African American communities for generations. In 1870, 5 years after the end of the Civil War, the clergy of the African Methodist Episcopal Church set out to create an institution to educate newly freed slaves and train clergy for the AME Church. The church purchased land in Cokesbury, South Carolina, and named the new college Payne Institute in honor of AME Bishop Daniel Payne, a native of Charleston, South Carolina. Bishop Payne had become the first black college president in the United States at Wilberforce University in 1863, which he had helped found. In 1880, Bishop William Dixon sought to relocate the college to Columbia and acquired land on which the campus sits today. The institution was renamed Allen University after Richard Allen, the founder and first bishop of the AME Church. Higher education remained segregated in South Carolina until the early 1960s. The University of South Carolina, also in my district, only a mile away from Allen, for example, admitted its first African American in 1963, 2 years after I graduated college. Throughout the Jim Crow era, Allen University offered degrees in law, education, and theology, and at one time also offered elementary and high school classes. Several of its buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places, forming the Allen University Historic District. Arnett Hall, the oldest building on campus, was constructed in 1891 by the students themselves. It was named after Benjamin W. Arnett, an early leader of the AME Church, who served on Allen University's Board of Trustees. The Chappell Administration Building, which houses the Chappell Auditorium, was designed by John Anderson Langford, known as the Dean of Black Architects, and completed in 1925. It was named after William David Chappell, the great-grandfather of comedian Dave Chappelle, and a graduate of Allen University, who later served as its president. Chappell Auditorium is one of 5 buildings in Columbia designated a National Historic Landmark. This historic campus has been central to the Waverly neighborhood and the African American community in Columbia. Black artists such as Leontine Price, Langston Hughes, and Brooks Benton all appeared at Chappell Auditorium. In 1947, the Reverend James Hinton, then president of the NAACP of South Carolina, held a rally at Chappell, which was attended by Reverend Joseph A. Delane, an Allen University alumnus. Inspired by the event, Reverend DeLane organized families in Summerton, South Carolina, to petition their school district to provide buses for black students who at the time were forced to make a daily walk of 9 miles to school. This case, Briggs v. Elliott, was the first of the 5 cases that became Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. It is no exaggeration, Mr. Speaker, to say that Allen University was the birthplace of the movement that overturned separate but equal and brought an end to legal segregation in America. Allen University would remain central to the struggle for civil rights. In the early 1960s, Allen University students led demonstrations at segregated lunch counters and participated in many of the marches in Columbia during that period. National leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., Roy Wilkins, and Ralph Abernathy visited Allen during these demonstrations, often staying on campus when they came to town. Today, Allen University is a liberal arts institution still operated by the AME Church. It has graduated many notable elected officials, including State Representative William Clyburn and his wife Beverly Dozier Clyburn, who retired from the Aiken, South Carolina City Council several years ago. Retired State Senator Kay Patterson is also a graduate. 2 of Allen's alumni, former Senator Clementa Pinckney and Tywanza Sanders, were among the 9 who were murdered during the attack at the Emmanuel AME Church in 2015. Several buildings, like Arnett Hall and Chappell Auditorium, have been restored recently with federal funding from the HBCU Historic Preservation Program, which this body, in its selective wisdom, voted unanimously last year to reauthorize. I plan to, along with my friend Representative Green and other members of the Congressional Black Caucus, to reintroduce that bill this year. I am hopeful that we will repeat the unanimity this year and that the Senate will support our efforts. Allen University has made an indelible mark on our society over the past 147 years. I ask all of my colleagues to join me in honoring its great contributions to this great nation.